did you do?
Spirituality? What is spirituality?
I think spirituality is just putting a name to what's beyond physical existence.
Many people I know, as soon as they say something spiritual, or even the word in itself, is like something that they don't like.
People don't like what they can't know. Like, you can't be 100% sure about anything spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to prove it exists. For most people, they're afraid of what they can't understand, and it makes them angry.
I grew up in a Catholic family, and I remember that I was questioning everything that I would hear in the church. I understood ever since I was very young that spirituality and religion were two different things for me. So I was totally discarding everything that was religious, because for me it was too constricted, it was full of rules, and it was too dogmatic.
I never believed in any kind of religion, but I do remember, so my mom's side of the family is Jewish, and they do celebrate Jewish holidays. And for me, I couldn't understand why they were so stuck to every single tradition, even the ones that didn't feel good to them. What do you think about God? What do you think God means?
I was questioning God totally. I had my atheist period where I wasn't believing in God. I also believed that, there was no spirit inside these bodies, and that we were just chemistry, right? And then it happened that at a certain point of my life, very late, it was my late 40s, I went through a very dark moment of my life, and I started, embracing more spirituality and more the idea of something that there is something else. So that's when I became spiritual. I've always been spiritual, but I didn't know that I was. If God and all of that idea was what was taught to me, then I was rejecting it.
When I was growing up, I once asked my dad, I remember I was quite young, and I asked him, what is God? And he stopped for a second, he questioned it, whether I was too young. But then he said, it's all loving, it's everywhere, all the time. I was quite confused at first. I was maybe 5 or 6. I started imagining God as almost like the air, and I remember feeling the breeze, and I felt like, oh, this feels very loving. Maybe this is what God is. I've experienced a couple of miraculous things that when I prayed for, it really did happen for me. So I didn't need proof necessarily. I felt like it was true.
This is what I liked talking about with Sadie when we first met. We met exactly because of a project about spirituality. So we had this conversation about spirituality, and what I liked about you is that you were bringing also your own contribution to that. It wasn't just repeating same concepts that all the spiritual teachers are talking about, which was very interesting, very intriguing, and very thought-provoking as well.
My dreams are very much like reality for me. There are dreams where I wake up out of a dream and I feel like I woke up, and then I'm still in the dream and I wake up again in the dream and I think I've woken up. So there's a very thin line between real and not real for me. So when it comes to spirituality, it's very easy for me to understand how this isn't it. Like, this physical whatever isn't the end-all be-all state of existence.
Very first time when what really got me into spirituality was Aikido. Aikido is a martial art, and it was founded by a man who was highly spiritual, and there was all this philosophy of love behind this martial art. And for the first time, by reading the way this man developed Aikido, I understood that we are energy. So through those readings and the way he was also, he brought Aikido to a point where he was able to move bodies just through energy without even touching the bodies that he was kind of like throwing away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that got me thinking about, energy, something that we don't see. We see this, but we don't see the energy that is inhabiting this body, right? It's almost more like science or like a quantum physics, really.
People believe the world is flat until they proved that it was round. It's something like that. One day people are going to be able to prove that we continue existing after death, and then it's not going to be spirituality anymore. It's just going to be part of what's real, what's normal.
Exactly. What do you think about spiritual teachers?
I feel that, whatever somebody has, when they put it out in the world, it finds you when you need it the most, or when you feel disconnected from yourself. But I feel like at the end of the day, it has to come back to you and your own connection to whatever you want to call it, God, or every single person has a connection to their own spirit. And if you get disconnected from that and you start to depend on these spiritual teachers and concepts, you can really use it as a tool to hurt yourself. Some people become really powerless and they give all of their power away to this person who has all the information. In one of our first videos you said, so I see auras, like something like that, and you didn't even think it was spiritual. You thought it was normal. So, like, were you always like that, or did you at some point? No,
I wasn't. At some point I started seeing auras. Like, what was I struck about is how easy I could see your aura when I met you.
Does that mean we have a spiritual connection?
Possibly, yes. I think that we all have spiritual connections with everybody we meet. Must be something else.
Maybe
it's you.
Okay, let's end with something else. I'll figure out another question.
Ask me another
question. You have a question for yourself?
Well, it's just a wish that that finally people will open up more to something that they cannot prove.